silly spelling errors that come up with predictive text. Instead of trial by your peers, it said a trial by your pairs. That's not how it works. Anyway, back to it. The point of a trial by your peers and their idiot reactionary stuff we're seeing in the press to this so-called trans rapist is nonsense. The latest piece of nonsense to keep this nonsense in the press is that this particular person applied to an Ayrshire college to take a vocational educational course prior to being convicted. Now, the point that I was trying to make, and I am still making, is because he'd been accused of something, this person should be denied the rights that any other citizen finds freely available to them. This was a potentially innocent as well as a potentially guilty person. So we now suspend the rights of potentially innocent citizens as well as potentially guilty citizens. So if you're accused of something, we just suspend your rights. In this case, the right to an education. The nonsense in the press right now is how right-wing propaganda works. And the mere fact that I'm seeing people agreeing with this pish is mental. The right to an education is a basic human right. At the point when these papers are talking about this guy taking a course as a beautician or transgender person taking a course of a beautician, they hadn't been found guilty of any crime. And the nonsense and the record about students being asked to strip down. Well, I think I'd want to investigate the college and their beauty course if they're asking students to strip down. If they're teaching salon tanning, then I'm sure they would have the students wearing appropriate swimwear or appropriate wear. The nonsense that I'm seeing here about this particular person having attended a college prior to being convicted. I'm sorry, the person hasn't been convicted of anything. So therefore, they have the same rights as the rest of us. And the greatest punishment that we dish out in this land is incarceration, and that is to remove a person's personal freedoms to a point. Even prisoners are entitled to an education and vocational education, part of the rehabilitation. And if you don't believe that our prison service should rehabilitate people, then you're looking at a perpetual cycle of criminals that we can't afford to keep. So the nonsense that people are posting in social media right now about the fact that this person had applied to an Ayrshire college for a vocational course prior to being found guilty to doing anything wrong is absurd. It's not even a story. And yet, here across social media, reality has left the room. Apparently this person wasn't entitled to a vocational education prior to being found guilty of doing anything wrong in our society, whether they had been trans or no at the time. This is getting out of hand, and it's being driven by a propaganda machine with an agenda. To make a story out of someone doing a vocational course at a college prior to being found guilty of doing anything wrong, I don't know how we go there, folks. This takes gutter press to a new level. And I hope people understand that. Potentially innocent person to be locked out of education just because they've been accused of a crime. when we get to the point where we're denying citizens the rights of everyone else in our society, then we've lost it. It has gone. Think about that. And think about the shit that you're reading in the gutter press. Anyway, I had to react to some of the crap that we're seeing. You know me, I've confessed to not really understanding the gender recognition reform bill or gender recognition certificates or that sort of thing, way beyond me. I've even made jokes about it that I identify as a wardrobe because I hang clothes on myself every day. But what I do know is that when our press start demonising educational institutions for allowing somebody at the time who had been found not guilty of any crime from applying for a vocational education course is an absurdness. We'll end it there. I hope you find what I had to say on this nonsense interesting, because that's how propaganda works.